Now, I don't claim to be a smart man, or even average for that matter, but I will say that I do know at least 3 things. 1. Video games are great. 2. I don't know how to count. 3. American football is also great. And 4. Combining the subjects of 5 and 6 has led to some great entertainment. Although, nowadays your solid gaming options for the good old sport of football have been reduced to Madden and Eat a Dick 20. But relics of the past do still linger in today's world, and if you don't mind taking a look back, you'll find a treasure trove full of fun football games throughout the years. Backyard Football, Backbreaker, Blitz, 2K5, Tecmo Bowl, even Madden before EA went on to win multiple prestigious awards and accolades. With the NFL season kicked off, I think now is a good time to take a look back at some unique gridiron gaming. In that pile of simulated CTE ball is one game that was a staple of my childhood. It was a little game called Backyard Football. Why do you think I put the cover front and center? However, I don't find Backyard Football that interesting to make a video on, so instead I'll talk about the second childhood defining game I played, NFL Street. Released in a long-forgotten age of nu metal and live-strong bracelets known as 2004, NFL Street was developed by Tiburon and published by EA Sports Big. God, I miss those guys. It was a title born into the world after someone dared to ask the question.
Hey guys, do you want to make a fun football game?
It was met with positive reviews across the board and even had one article criticizing the game for being racist. Excuse me, what? As you can tell by now, this is less simulated football and more arcade-like, somewhat similar to NFL Blitz if you need a comparison. And like Blitz, Street takes a similar approach to the rules of the sport, aka it doesn't. Okay, that's a bit of a lie. But other than the most basic rules to keep the structure of the sport, Street pretty much lets you do whatever you want. The difference between the two titles I mentioned though is that Blitz aims to make the sport as violent as possible, stopping just before someone would get hit with first-degree murder charges. While Street on the other hand looks to make everything stylish enough to make Dante jealous. Not that you can't deliver hits that introduce the back of a guy's skull to his heels, because you can totally do that too, it's just not what the game wants you to focus on. Yes, you can just take a team of your choice. Jesus, just look at all these outdated logos. Pick 7 players of your choice that sort of look like the people they're supposed to be, and go into a game and play a normal round of hand egg. If that sounds like fun to you, then Street does not want to associate itself with you and has now asked you to leave before it calls the authorities. Real quick though, before I get into the gameplay here, I do want to say that it's hilarious to look at the individual stats of these players and see what they were thought of back in 2004. Like, why would you ever pick these quarterback scrubs, Tom Brady and Drew Brees? Jeff Garcia, Brad Johnson, and Jay Fielder are much better choices. This LaDainian Tomlinson guy is pretty average. You'd be better off with Trun Candidate or Troy Hambrick. And who the hell is Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs? Not even the best linebacker or defensive back on the team. Zero reason to pick them. But seriously though, this Ravens team is packed with stars, wow. Who was the quarterback for this team? Oh, Kyle Baller, ugh. Is there any other choice? Oh. I didn't know that God was in this game. The main object of the game is what you know. Touchdowns good, anything else usually bad. But the twist Street puts into the mix is all about making your trip to the end zone as ridiculous as possible. Almost every single action in the game can be made into something more stylish or ridiculous with just the hold of a button. These actions give you something called style points. And these are so integral to the game that you can even change the rules and have the only way to victory be through these style points you accumulate through set actions, instead of touchdowns. You don't step back, look at your receiver, and deliver a nice ball with good fundamentals in this game, you nerd. You take the snap, then run around immediately like a madman before chucking up some garbage in the general area of your guy and pray to the football gods that the janky physics of the ball will bounce in your favor. And I'm not just saying this because it makes the game more fun. You're actually encouraged to play like this and rewarded for it as well. Pitch at any opportunity you see. Run towards every bit of contact you can and try to stiff them or juke them out with a ridiculous move. Start dancing towards that end zone and keep it going as long as you possibly can. Every single one of these things reward you with style points, and most importantly, fill up your game breaker meter. My god, game breaker.
The fire coming, yeah!
Once that meter is full and you hear that cool sound effect, pop it off and enjoy your free touchdown or style point explosion because your opponent won't be able to do a thing to you most of the time. Try to do it before your opponent fills up their own meter though. The game breakers just get cancelled out if you both activate it. It's a bit of an anticlimax, really. This is simply all fun insanity wearing the guise of a football game. Very enjoyable and very replayable, even to this day. It hits that sweet spot, you know? Keeping the gameplay fast, with big plays aplenty for offensive play, while still keeping a really satisfying game feel for defensive play. Those tackling animations and that sound design really shine here. Oh, and I didn't even remember until I started making this video, but the game even has dynamic music that shifts according to what's going on in the game. You can even hear the players talking trash before and after each play, in an E for everyone style, of course.
I'm bigger than you, faster than you, and stronger than you. And a lot prettier.
And it's all accompanied by a fantastic, although admittedly early 2000s soundtrack that gets you pumped up to play, whether you're in the menus or the game. It's a soundtrack I would love to play over this video, but I'm not trying to have YouTube put the hammer down on my channel. Yet. Now is this Actually, before I go on, does anyone remember when EA Trax was absolutely impeccable, no matter the game? Didn't matter what it was, everything from Burnout to SSX to Tiger Woods 2004, yes I'm serious, was filled to the brim with banger after banger, the selection always seeming to put you in just the right mood for the appropriate game. I am glad they brought it back a few years ago, but something just isn't the same about it. I think it has to do with the smaller variety of music genres they go for in their tracks nowadays. It just doesn't get me pumped up like it used to. It could also just be nostalgia. I don't know what guys were in charge of picking the tracks for each game, but I hope they were rewarded well for their efforts. Apologies, I got way off topic there. What was I going to say? I was going to say... Oh, yeah. Is this 7-on-7 mess the only thing to do in the game? No, of course not. There's a whopping 2 other modes. Okay, yeah, you can pretty much see everything this game has to offer after about 30 minutes. But to be fair, the 2 modes do mix up the formula pretty well, one doing a way better job than the other. We'll start with the other, pickup game. There's 2 teams, and the game gives you 40 random players to choose from. Take a look around at what's available, and you each try to build the best 7-man team you can from that pool, and win. There's a bit of strategy when it comes to picking your players, but at the end of the day, you're just playing the regular. Or you could be just like me, and keep backing in and out of the pool until you can assemble a team of nothing but offensive and defensive linemen. It never ends well, but it is fun. Or even better, you can not be like me, and actually play with another human. apparently that's fun too. There's also an all NFL pickup game you can unlock after beating the mode I'm about to talk about, but all that really does is let you choose from every player in the game instead of having to work with 40. Yeah, this lets you put together some dream teams, but I find it much less interesting. But what is interesting is NFL Challenge. I've always compared this game to something like City Trial and Kirby Air Ride. Yeah, it's listed as a sub-mode to the main game, but it's easily the one you're going to be putting the most time into. And if there's anyone else out there that comes back to this game every once in a while, like I do, I guarantee it's to run through this mode again. To put it simply, NFL Challenge is like an adventure mode. You go through the 8 NFL divisions and complete an always varied supply of missions in each one to get either dev points, new equipment, or you can just straight up take a player from any team and add it to your own. Yeah, your own. EA Sports games with Create a Team. I know, absolutely crazy, right? It's like this used to be a regular feature or something. But yeah, in Challenge you have to choose a team name, logo, colors, and 7 players that you can customize to almost your heart's content. You don't get to customize their faces, so you have to work with what they give you. On the other hand though, there are a good number of mugs to choose from. Some definitely better looking than others. Oh, good God, cover your eyes, man. Other than that though, you can change their hair, names, equipment, stats, the way they celebrate, so on and so forth. You want to make a team of you and your friends? Go ahead. Want a team of abominations and clowns? Well, you can do that too. So hop into this mode, spend hours getting those boys looking just right, and take the team into challenge mode to get absolutely killed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that your team hails from your nearest garbage can. You're gonna need some dev points to improve that team. Just be careful what challenges you decide to do because you only have so many tokens to use. Once you spend those and give one a shot, those tokens are gone permanently, regardless if you can conquer the challenge or not. While there are some challenges that can be done in seconds, no joke.
They're bringing the blitz! They're bringing the blitz!
There are just as many that have been designed by the office psychopath. Once your team has been upgraded, you can then challenge the ladder, which is just 4 regular games against that division's teams, and it's all capped off with a game against that division's best. Oh, and pro tip for those of you interested first-timers, make sure you spend all of your tokens first, because if you decide to back out from a ladder and do a challenge, you have to do every single one of those games over again. Doesn't matter if you already have 3 out of the 5 teams down, you leave, you restart. But get through that ladder and you get to pick which field and division you want to take over next. Rinse and repeat until you beat them all. The fields themselves are really just a change of scenery for the most part. Different wall placements and a possible night setting that removes everyone's glasses are all you're gonna see. Except for the warehouse, which is 100% purified dick sauce. This field is the bane of my existence, and it ain't because of what's on the field, but what's above it. Some genius decided that a low roof and support beams would be an excellent addition to a game where you throw the ball 20 miles into the air on a regular basis. That leads to a lot of plays like this.
Play smart. Get that out of here!
Hilarious, yes, but horrible to play with. Unfortunately, this poorly designed field isn't the only thing this game has a less than stellar performance on. Yes, it's time to get negative. Okay, see this chart? This is a nice, smooth difficulty curve. Normally, as you go through a game, the challenge gradually increases along with the player's skill. Sure, you may get some new abilities, but in well-designed games, these are used to present the player with even more varied challenges. Now, here's the NFL Challenge difficulty curve.
Hello!
Lovely. It's all over the goddamn place, and yet you still get this feeling of everything getting easier, and the blame falls squarely on how progression works in this game. Remember how I said that your players come fresh from the sewer system? Well, due to that, the hardest parts of the game are going to be in those first 2 or 3 divisions when you're trying to beat a lineup of NFL teams with your carefully customized gang of glue eaters. But once you get past that hurdle, the game doesn't have any curveballs to throw your way. So while your team keeps getting stronger and stronger, the opposition just stays the same. It has to, since you get to pick which division you want to face next after each ladder. If the game had separate difficulty levels for each one, this chart would look even worse. The only bumps you might encounter are those psychopath challenges I talked about earlier, but even then, those are brief spikes that you can just not do if you want. There's more than enough dev points you can earn without having to touch these things. And by the end of this mode, your team is going to be way better than any NFL team could dream to be. Okay, except for the Legends team, but they're infuriatingly OP by design. Unlike some last bits of infuriating design and gameplay choices in the core game I want to go over real quick. First is something a bit petty to most, but it bothered me. The replay system. What in the wide world is this? You do a play, you get like 5 seconds to push the replay button, and your only options in the game are to slow it down and switch between 3 fixed camera angles. All of them terrible. I don't know why it's like this. I even went back to Madden 2003, lovely game by the way, just look at all of these features, to check out that game's replay system, and it's got the full suite, so it's not like the devs didn't know how to make a good one. But then again, we are dealing with devs who got their idea for ball physics from Balloon Land, so who knows what they're thinking. Yeah, this is probably an intentional decision to keep that wacky arcade flavor the game strives for, but I just don't like how the ball physics are in this game. And surprisingly, it is not due to all the totally not my fault interceptions that it's caused me, but more on how easy it is to use it to your advantage. Here, let me give you an example. As you can see, when it comes to contested catches, the ball likes to do a volleyball impression. Fine enough, but the problem lies in how predictable this is. If a ball bounces off the hands of a defender on a deep fly route, the ball almost always ricochets straight downfield. Combine this with the weirdly effective diving catches, and you can get like 50 to 60 yards in one play with semi-consistency. This is really only an issue to people like me who have played this game for an unhealthy amount of time. Still, being able to crack off such big plays this frequently feels wrong. Again, this could be an intentional decision by the devs, but it really feels more like I'm exploiting the game's flaws rather than beating it through any skill or strategy. Some plays work way too well, and others might as well be labeled as guaranteed yardage losers. There's not a lot of balance here is what I'm getting at, regardless if you're playing the AI or a friend. If you know what works, a game can quickly get out of hand. This takes me to the last thing about this game that bothers me. It's been such a thorn in my side for 15 years because it's something I can't really make an articulate point on, can't break down and explain in detail, I can't even prove that it exists in the game. But with all these years of NFL Street gameplay under my belt, I can only come to the conclusion that the AI f***ing cheats when you get in the lead. I know, this sounds like a juvenile excuse, but I swear to God, you can feel your player's performance get worse the moment you get up by more than 14 points. It's like the developers transplanted the rubber band AI of a racing game into this. That deep ball that I was just talking about, normally I'd say it works about 60% of the time. Get up on the scoreboard and it drops to a nice solid 0%. Anything thrown in a defender's area code will be intercepted without fail. Sound like fun? Does it sound like fun for your offensive linemen to impersonate their favorite turnstiles? Does it sound like fun for your defense to miss tackles at a higher rate than me missing the opportunities life hands my way? How about... Oh, you motherfucker! People want to talk about something like Dark Souls making your blood boil. At least in that game, you can only blame yourself for failure since it stays consistent throughout the experience and how it punishes you, along with how your controlled character acts. The AI acts as a hurdle that requires a certain amount of skill to overcome. The AI in NFL Street just feels like it can decide on a whim whether it'll allow you to win or not. I can take failure and the latter, fine, no problem. But if the game wants to punish me with things out of my control, that's when I get unreasonably pissed. You want to play that game? Okay, how about I pop open my console, I take out this goofy ass game, and gently place it back in the case. Destroying it would just be a waste of my own money, you know? Now that I've gone back and taken a more critical look at it, NFL Street is still a good game in my mind. Far from a great game, mind you, but very much still worth checking out if you haven't before. I know, I did just spend a bunch of time taking a sizable dump on the game, but that's only because I love it so much. Me and this game have a lovely abusive relationship. I know it can take it. And even better, this isn't the end of the series, as the game did get a sequel a few years later in NFL Street 2, which I do remember liking a lot more, but I'll see how it actually holds up when I cover it whenever. I've learned that trying to give myself a schedule is not a good idea. But in short, if you're sick of the constant stream of Madden games and hunger for an alternative option for your virtual football fix, then this is one of the better options you can try out. Just be ready for the age to show when the game pulling some bullcrap on you crazier than the plays that can happen in it. I swear Street drives me closer to drink every time I play it. But hey, it's just a video game though. No need to get upset. Anyways, we're already into that wonderful ceremonial Sunday viewing known as American football. A time where we can all have fun and relax. In fact, now would be a wonderful time to see how my Cincinnati Bengals are doing. Hello, welcome to the end of the video. If you made it all the way here, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate this is the longest I've ever worked on a video, and hopefully this can at least somewhat make up for the time I've been gone. Someone call it a hiatus, I call it me being a lazy ADD-ridden asshole, but that's neither here nor there. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, comment, let me know if you want to see anything else in the future. I do have plans for next month, so I won't be gone for another 3, 4, whatever this time. But still, let me know what you want to see. I would like to know, and if you have any critiques for the stuff, as I'm still pretty new to this YouTube thing, please let me know. But regardless, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you, and stay safe.